We're here in the headquarters of the North American Division, and also the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I have the privilege of having right here next to me someone who is very talented, wonderful, does lots of hard work for the Lord, and Janessa Little. She is the project manager for Let's Move Vancouver, an initiative, outreach missional initiative taking place right now in British Columbia, in the city of Vancouver. How are you today? Are you happy to be here?
I'm so happy to be here. It's beautiful, loving DC.
Okay, and I want you to tell us a little bit about what's going on in Vancouver. Let's Move Vancouver. What's that?
Absolutely. In one sentence, Let's Move Vancouver is all about educating and inspiring people to live their best life. And it's built on the John 10:10 principle, this idea that God is the best possible life that you can have. And if we inspire people to live a better life, they will be drawn to Christ.
So what is taking place? What are the things that you guys have been doing in order to make sure that you reach people in Vancouver, that you let them know that they can live their best life right now? What have you doing?
Absolutely. So what we're working on doing is educating and inspiring people through kind of mind, body, and spirit, with mental health, with social awareness, creating relationships, combating loneliness and fatigue and isolation. And then also your traditional sort of evangelistic tools such as health and wellness, eating well, picking good foods, exercising, all those things. Vancouver is extremely interested in health. In fact, we're one of the healthiest cities in North America, and yet we were, in a couple years ago, we were voted the #1 most unhappy city in all of Canada.
Goodness. So let me ask you one thing. So this missional initiative has some aspects of lifestyle, because you want people to live a good lifestyle, and it also has some aspects of proclamation. So you're showing people God's love in many different ways, and you're also telling people about God's love. What are some of the things? Tell me something that you're doing to reach people through lifestyle.
Absolutely.
What's happening there?
Absolutely. So we're doing really cool initiatives. One of them is ESL.
ESL, English as second language?
Yes,
all right?
yes. There's a huge immigrant.
The majority of the people in Vancouver are not born in Canada. Is that correct?
Yeah. In fact, a lot of them don't speak English or speak very little English. And so one of the areas that we identified as a possible area that people needed help in was learning English. It's very expensive to learn it on their own. And so a couple of our key churches have been putting on very affordable ESL programs for people, bringing them into a supportive community that they can feel a part of and then grow in the skill that they need.
So can you tell me at least a brief story of what happened with one of these churches?
Absolutely. So we have a
Cornerstone, right?
Yes, a really great story from Cornerstone Church. They did a 6-week session last fall. There was 11 members. It was very small, but they learned so much, and from that 11 members, 3 of those families started coming to church, and they were very inspired, and there's a lot of positive movement, and they just decided to do another 6-week program. It went from a small group of 12 to over 40 people were attending regularly.
From a small group of 12 to over 40, just by teaching English as a second language.
Yes.
Question, how many of these were young people?
A lot of them are young people. In fact, one of the really cool aspects of this is that Cornerstone Church was looking for a way to build their youth program. And from that 40 or so people, they now have a Friday night Bible study of 30 young adults, and a lot of them came from that ESL
So these
program.
types of initiatives, they do work with millennials, they worked with people. And question, how many of these people had ever been exposed to the church?
Very few of them. If you were to look at the demographics of Vancouver, there is a huge swath of people who not only do not go to church, but know next to nothing about Christianity. Many of them have never even heard the name of Jesus.
Question, do you do this just because you want to reach him, or you do this because it is the right thing to do?
We do this because we're following the example of Jesus. Jesus saw someone and he reached out to them and dealt with their physical needs, because that's the first and most important thing. And then when you deal with someone's physical needs, they will recognize your true heart and want to be a part of that best life that you're offering.
Beautiful. Are there any other stories that you can tell me? I heard something, and we have very little time left, but I heard something about a garden that is taking place in an area. What's going on? Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible and exciting. There's so many stories I could go on, but I'll just tell you one. There was a local couple, Barry and Joan. And they're not involved in our church at all. They have no background
So they
in
were
it.
not church members,
No,
nothing? Okay.
no. But they were involved in their community, and one of the things that they had experienced was loneliness and disconnection.
And that is one of the greatest needs in Vancouver.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's the loneliest city in Canada. And they tried to connect with their neighbors by throwing a block party, a Christmas block party. They invited 40 people. And of those 40 people, only one came. And they recognized it wasn't because people didn't want community, but rather they didn't feel connected enough to just show up your house.
So what did they do?
They decided to start a more accessible way to meet people. They built a garden, but instead of putting it in their backyard, they put it in their front yard. It was a we grow, you pick. And so Joan and Barry would go out every Sunday morning, every Saturday afternoon, and work in the garden, and then they would actually meet people as they came to get their lettuce or their carrots, and they started growing relationships with people. Now, this worked extremely well for them. They're the head of their community. They're doing constant good work, meeting their neighbors, building that warmth and genuine care for one another. It took the notice, or it got the attention of one of our local pastors, and he actually came to Barry and asked Barry to mentor him how to do this.
So it is okay sometimes to ask people who are not from church for help.
Oh, absolutely. Jesus is working in every area. He's working with
people outside the church, at times they have something they can teach us, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so Barry kind of mentored him. They formed a relationship. Barry helped us build at that church a very large seniors garden that now services that entire area. And on top of that, they are now becoming part of our congregation in that area.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Ines. I hope that these stories that you just told us can inspire many others to do the same. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. This is Jose Cortez Jr. for Mission 360.